He had 2,000 patients. She had 500. Guess who sold for more? Two providers, both excellent clinicians, both built thriving practices from scratch. Both are relocating. Life happens, a spouse gets promoted, the winners finally win. Both are trying to sell. Dr. Marcus Webb has been practicing family medicine for 18 years, 2,000 patients, a full schedule every single week. Elena Reyes is a nurse practitioner. She has 500 patients. That's it, just 500. Who do you think gets more money for their practice? It's not Dr. Webb, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why, and why it matters for every practice you ever build. The goodwill question. When you sell a traditional fee-for-service practice, the sale price has two components: tangible assets, equipment, furniture, maybe lease assignment, and something called goodwill. Goodwill is supposed to represent the value of your patient panel, your reputation, the established flow of patients walking through the door. In theory, it's the most valuable thing in the building. In practice, whether goodwill is worth anything at all depends entirely on one question. Can a new provider step in and keep those patients, or would those patients come to them anyway? And that answer is completely different depending on what market you're in. Let me show you both scenarios. The shortage market. Goodwill is worthless. That's where I live. Dr. Webb practices in a genuine shortage market. Not enough providers, patient waiting weeks or months to get in anywhere. You might think that's where his patient panel is most valuable. It's not. It's actually worth the least. Here's the reality. A new provider in a shortage market doesn't need to buy anyone's patient list. They call the local hospitals. They introduce themselves to a few specialists. They open the door. They are full in a week, sometimes less. Patients in a shortage market aren't loyal to a building or a practice name. They're desperate to get in somewhere. They'll go to whoever is open and accepting patients. That new provider could be a complete stranger. It doesn't matter. Demand fills the practice automatically. So what is Dr. Webb actually selling in the shortage market? Used equipment, maybe a favorable lease, a location patients already know how to find. That's the list. 2,000 patient charts, instantly replaceable. A buyer doesn't need them. New patients walk in on their own because there's nowhere else to go. In a shortage market, 18 years of patient relationships are worth roughly what the waiting room chairs are worth. Tangible assets only. Call it $25,000 to $75,000 total. Now scenario 2, the one market where Dr. Webb's patient panel actually carries some transfer value. A saturated, competitive market, plenty of providers. Patients have real choices. Established relationships matter because there's somewhere else for every patient to go. A buyer stepping into Dr. Webb's practice is buying something real. 2,000 patients who already have a chart, who know the address, who have the habit of coming back. In a competitive market, earning that from scratch takes time, sometimes years or more. So there is a legitimate argument for paying something for it. Here's the formula. Goodwill value equal what a buyer gets minus what they'd get anyway. In a competitive market, a buyer wouldn't automatically inherit that volume, so the panel has modest value. In the shortage market, they would get it anyway, so it's worth nothing. Even in the best case, saturated market, strong retention, loyal panel, Dr. Webb might get $150,000 to $300,000 for goodwill on top of the tangible assets. After 18 years, that's the ceiling. Either way, it's not the retirement most physicians imagine, and it's nothing compared to what Elena's model produces. Now let's talk about Elena. Elena built her practice differently. She runs a direct primary care model. No insurance billing, no coding, no RVUs, no prior authorizations. Her patients pay a flat monthly membership fee to have access to her as their provider.
Elena runs a premium DPC, not a budget model, and that's intentional.
Adults pay $150 a month. For senior patients who need more frequent access and receive higher tier of services, pay $200 a month. She has 500 patients. About 60% are adults, 40% are seniors. Let's look at what that actually generates. 300 adults at $150 a month, that's $45,000 a month. 200 seniors at $200 a month, that's $40,000 a month. Total monthly recurring revenue, $85,000 a month. Annual recurring revenue, just over $1 million a year. Predictable, not dependent on how many appointments get booked, whether a claim gets denied, or how many no-shows happen on Tuesday. The money arrives on the first of every month because patients agreed to that in a membership. That's the foundation. But the real difference shows up when she goes to sell. How subscription revenue gets valued. This is where the two practices diverge completely. Fee-for-service practices are valued on a multiple of revenue, or EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciations, and amortization. For a small single provider primary care practice, that multiple typically runs 3 to 5 times EBITDA. And in a market where goodwill is questionable, you're closer to the bottom of that range or below it entirely. Subscription revenue is valued differently. Buyers pay a premium for predictable, recurring, contractual income because it de-risks the acquisition. They can model it, project it 3 years out, and underwrite a loan against it. That's fundamentally different asset class. In the technology sector, think Netflix, subscription businesses trade at 6 to 10 times annual recurring revenue, sometimes higher. Medical practices with subscription models aren't pure software. There's still a provider dependency, still operation complexity, so the multiple gets discounted. A realistic range for a well-run direct primary care practice is 3 to 4 times annual recurring revenue. So let's run Elena's number. Annual recurring revenue, $1,020,000. At a conservative 3 times multiple, $3,060,000. At a moderate 4 times multiple, $4,080,000. Add used equipment at $25,000. Realistic asking price range, $3.1 to $4.1 million. Now, there's a detail worth paying attention. In high demand provider short market, the same market that destroyed Dr. Webb's goodwill, his multiple actually holds firm and possibly strengthens. Why? Because a buyer knows that if any of her 500 members cancel, there's a line of unserved patients ready to fill that spot immediately. Her churn rate is lower. Her replacement rate is almost guaranteed by the market itself. The shortage that works against Dr. Webb actually works for Elena, the side-by-side. Dr. Webb's 2,000 patients, 18 years, fee-for-service revenue, not transferable, realistic sale price, $50,000 to $325,000. Elena's 500 patients, 5 years, monthly subscription, revenue fully contractual and transferable, realistic sale price, $3.1 to $4.1 million. 500 patients versus 2,000 patients, a fraction of the clinical volume, a fraction of the administrative burden, and somewhere between 10 and 30 times the exit value, depending on the market. That's not an anomaly. That's how asset valuation works.
If you want the full framework for structuring your practice as an asset from day one, that's exactly what the course covers. Link below.
So what's the actual takeaway here? It's not that fee-for-service is wrong. A lot of excellent physicians and providers practice that way and serve their patients exceptionally well. The lesson is that how you structure your revenue determines what your practice is worth. Not how many patients you have, not how long you've been practicing, and not how full your schedule is on any given week. A subscription practice converts patient relationships into transferable financial assets. The patient signed a membership agreement. The revenue is contractual and recurring. A buyer can model it, project it, and finance an acquisition against it. That changes everything about what they're willing to pay. Dr. Webb sold his time for 18 years. Elena sold memberships. Both worked hard. Only one of them built something she can actually sell. What to do with this? If you're in the early stages of planning your practice, or even if you're mid-career and wondering Whether it's too late to change models, I want you to sit with one question. Are you building a practice or are you building an asset? Because the difference is in your exit, potentially millions of dollars. Comes down to how you structured revenue from day one. In upcoming videos, we're going to walk you through how direct primary care and hybrid subscription models actually work operationally, how to set pricing, how Medicare patients fit in, how to transition an existing patient panel, and how to structure your practice so it's not just great to work in, it's actually worth something when you're ready to hand it off. If this kind of thinking is useful to you, subscribe to the channel. We publish new videos every Thursday. And if you're seriously considering the move to independent practice, I want to give you something practical. Head to startmypractice.net and get in the early access list for the course. It's called From Institution to Independence. 12 modules that cover everything from your entity structure to your first hire to building a practice you can actually sell someday. The link is in the description. I'm Dr. Stephen Smith. I'll see you next week.